Hey
Okay.
everybody, and welcome back to Gay2k. I'm Sarah. We watch the old movies that you love, so you don't have to. And today I'm joined by Kai, and we're going to talk about the thing that I'm only allowed to talk about once a year, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's a limit I put on myself because otherwise this would just become a Buffy the Vampire Slayer slash Sarah Michelle Gellar appreciation pod. 1997, March is when it premiered. Did you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer the first season when it premiered?
I did. So I can't remember exactly when this happened, but so I lived in a very small town, and I think we had just gotten cable. Story is we had an ABC network because we only got ABC and CBS. We didn't get
Mm,
NBC on our antenna.
mm-hmm.
Um, but the ABC affiliate changed to a Fox affiliate. Um, and my mom was so upset that she was not going to be able to watch Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman
I
that
love that.
we ended up getting cable. So that's how I had access to it. It's thanks to uh, Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, which I think is kind of funny.
I mean, if you
Um,
can be grateful to Dean Cain for anything, right? Hey, at least he
right.
brought Buffy into your life. Ooh, I do
I
want to go back before we get too far into talking about Buffy. Um, so Kai and I haven't known each other that long, and we have a mutual friend. And how I met Kai is we were going to do some tabletop gaming together at his house. Had never met this guy. I walk into his house, and there is in his living room a poster of Once More with Feeling, like the marquee style movie poster for that episode. And if you're a fan of the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're not, it's just a really cool painted poster for an episode, which is the musical episode. And the second that I walk in, it's like a giant green flag. The type of person that has a once more than with feeling poster in their living room is the type of person I can be great friends with for sure.
Yeah, and
So
literally it's at the top of my stairs
yeah.
from the split entry. So yeah, like it's hard to miss. Like when I was decorating, I was gonna put it there, and my mom was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." People need to know what they're getting into. But yeah, that's one of the signs that like the visual signs that I'm a really big fan. Um,
Mm.
I think you can see. I also have comic book collection, and I have this one particular in a frame in my office. I moved it out here for this
Nice.
because I'm such a crazy person. Like, so comic books, I don't know if they still do. They used to have like people could write in letters, and
Mm.
I read one that pissed me off so much I wrote a response,
I
and the
love
response is
that.
published in there.
Alex and I talked earlier about Tara and Willow a little bit. And in that episode, I talked about how, like, I feel a deep kinship to people who love Buffy, like, and it brings a different level to the friendship, and it makes it so easy to become fast friends. For being a decently hit show for its market at the time. It wasn't a huge show, but it also has this incredibly deep following, and the people who were really touched by it and the people whose lives it shaped, I think we still carry it with us, right? Like that's
Yeah, no, I think that's very true. And I think that's a good point. Like, I think it was a pretty big hit for the network it was on.
yes.
Um, if it had been on any other network, I don't think it would have gotten picked up past the first season because it's that season is okay. Um, in the context of the whole show, it's not very strong.
Hmm.
Like they didn't know exactly who they were yet. Um, but it was okay. I mean, it's not the worst first season of television ever. Um, I think that actually goes to Star Trek: The Next Generation, which which has a freaking clip show episode like towards the end of the first season. Like that's insane to me. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, what is this? What is happening? So it's better than that. But
Oh,
I,
that show is so peaceful to watch though, because you can watch it with like zero brain cells, the first season of it. Like you can
yeah.
just zone out. It used to be like one of my falling asleep seasons because but this is not a Star Trek episode. Maybe we could do that as well. Um Speaking of things that have huge gay cult followings, right? Like Star Trek is definitely up there. 1997. In
Mhm.
1997 in March, I was not even 11 yet. Um I would have still been 10, right? Because my birthday's September. Yes, I did not turn 11 until September. Um and I watched it. It was on. I didn't really start becoming like I have to sit down and watch this fully and like pay attention until this is so this is so gay until Eliza Dushku was on the screen and I was like what what is this, what is this energy, what is this swagger that this woman has? I want to know more about women that have that swagger.
So in
But
1997, I would have been 16. Me to the show is because me and the character of Buffy were the same age. And as the show goes on, so I'm experiencing like the things at the same time. So like uh, prom or homecoming, graduation, those are relatively happening at the same time that they're happening to me. And in fact, her birthday episodes always aired in January, and my birthday's in January. So like
mm,
I turned 17 and then she turned 17. So I feel like that made me feel really connected to that character in particular. Um, so yeah, I and like I said, I did watch the first season, with one exception. I missed uh, the finale episode. So
okay.
I don't think I saw it again until partway through season two. They like or
Hmm.
they did it right before or something like that. So it was a long time, which was really annoying to me because my mom did see it. It's like the only thing she could tell me about it is like they all liked her dress, which yes, is a recurring joke in that episode. But to me, I had no context. I didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah, that's a big one to miss. Like that sets up
Right.
a lot of plot for the future. For those who don't know that episode, Buffy goes to fight the big bad known as the Master and briefly dies. I think that's the thing that you need to know going into the second season.
Yeah, she
Um,
didn't tell me that.
yeah, yeah, she briefly dies. Xander is the one that brings her back, which is a whole other element of drama. And you know, because Angel can't breathe, which we could spend a long time talking about the weird loopholes and how vampires exist in the Buffy verse or in any verse. Like, how do they smoke cigarettes if they don't have breath? Like, I the Spike just
Yeah,
holds cigarettes to his lips. I don't.
yeah, that it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't breathe, but you still have lungs. Like, I don't understand. Like, you couldn't pull in air and push it out. Like, you don't need it to survive.
Yeah, it's the same thing as basically like the bag that they use, right? Like, why couldn't that just same principle of just filling up air and squeezing it out? I don't know. But yeah, so Xander brings her back, which is drama because the vampire that she's in love with, Angel, doesn't bring her back. And then also with dying, it stops her Slayer line and opens a new one, even though she's only dead for a few minutes. So 1997 was the TV show. Did you ever watch the 1992 movie?
Yes, I had seen. It certainly didn't spark my interest like the show did. Um, it's so tonally different. It's so goofy. Like one thing about this Buffy the Vampire Slayer series is that it is a drama,
Mhm.
but it can do comedy better than a lot of sitcoms do.
Mhm.
But yeah, the movie is just weird, which I think that brings me to like the first fun fact that I got from TikTok recently is that Seth Green had a part in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, but it got cut, so he's not in it.
He would
He
have been
like plays
like young
yeah, he
too,
plays like
yeah.
a vampire who attacks someone. Like there's a
Mm.
shot of him attacking someone as a vampire, but it got cut, so
Yeah.
it's not in the movie, which I think is very funny.
That, yeah. I mean, Seth Green was kind of, we've talked about Seth Green. He's kind of everywhere in the 90s. So that tracks that if anybody in the cast would have been there, it would have been him. That is funny. I like the movie. I don't like it as well as I like. I mean, yeah, the way that the movie is set up and was set up and how tonally different they are is probably why I didn't get into the first season because like we talked about, I was young. I was like, "Oh, this is funny and goofy and the hot chick slays vampires and that's cool because, I pretended to be more into the romance than I was. Like the Buffy Angel I so was like a Buffy Angel shipper in the world at large, but in my head a little less so. um but yeah, I mean I like the movie is its own kind of iconic and I know that there are people who are like I couldn't watch the TV show because it was so different than the movie. And I get that too, especially if you were a fan of that kind of like comedy. Long just scenes that are like slapstick and not really in the same spirit as the show. There are a lot of things that change in the mythos between the movie and the um, much more popular TV series. And that is why when I hear the words reboot, every time I kind of like the hairs on the back of my neck go up because I'm so protective of this
Yeah.
um, work of art. And even though I understand and I am the type of person that like feels like things should move on and like I hate the fact that Disney has like a 75 plus year copyright on all of its stuff because I think we should be able to take people's works and improve them and add to them and have fun with them. But I am optimistic and also worried for the new um, series for sure.
Yeah, I think a requel. Um, so same concept, new characters, but with legacy characters. That like that can be a hard balance. I think it's actually easier to do in the movies because it's a very short window. For series, you have to maintain that for a longer period
Mm-hmm.
of time, a balance that satisfies the old fans, but brings in new fans. So yes, I am too. I'm hopeful, which I think this is a good time to bring up like the kind of elephant in the room, which is Joss Whedon.
Yes. Okay. So okay, let's track back. Track back? I like that. Let's track back. So the reboot is with Sarah Michelle Gellar, who starred as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Chloe Zhao, who has directed a Oscar-winning film called Nomad. This show has been attempted to be reboot several times, sometimes with Joss Whedon, who was the creator of the television show at the helm, sometimes with other people, such as the producers from the film at the helm. But this reboot is the first one that has Sarah Michelle Gellar's involvement in any way. And I think that is why it got traction at all. Now, oof, like, how do I even start talking about Joss Whedon without talking about how I basically worship him like he was some type of god until I found out that he was a very flawed human, right? Like
Right.
that's like
Well,
I'm
and that
even like nervous talking about him right now because
I'm in the same way. I like love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and more than like any of the actors, I kind of followed what he did. I
Hmm.
love Firefly. I love Serenity.
The
Yeah.
involvement in Dollhouse.
And I think part of the success for the show, and I think Joss took credit for this, but he had really incredible writers, including a lot of women and later
Hmm.
seasons, some gay writers
Hmm.
that really made the
Yeah.
show what they were. But what I want to point out is I know people have conflicted feelings about loving things that were made by bad people, but like that's kind of across the board. Um, but I want to encourage people to give the new show a chance because I want to point out that although Joss Whedon is the creator, he wrote the script for the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer and was the producer on the show. He does not own the rights to
Hmm.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this is it's really being made without him. I
Hmm.
think the rights belong to Fran and Kaz Kuzi.
Kuzi, yep.
Yeah. So
and
um,
and they have a production company that is somehow also backed by Dolly Parton. I That part is like amazingly interesting to me. Did not deep dive into all of it, but I know that she funded their entertainment company that helped get the original film off the out into the mainstream audience, and so therefore she's still kind of tangentially attached to all of this, which is amazing in itself. So if nothing else, go support Dolly Parton, right? And watch
right.
watch the new Buffy series. Let's unpack Jaws more because it's such a huge part of all of this, right?
Yeah.
When do you remember first hearing about controversy related to Jaws?
Uh, it was after the Justice League. Um, that when like the start of lawsuit and complaints that
Yeah,
I
during
can't remember what.
the Me Too movement, but not.
Yeah. Well, but the
Oh, yes, the
no,
Justice
but the
League.
actor who played
Yeah.
Cyclops or not
Hmm.
Cyclops, I don't know
Cyborg.
DC.
Yeah, the actor
Cyborg.
who played Cyborg and many of the cast of the Justice League have backed him on this. Have said like Jaws created a hostile work environment, and then that lawsuit happening really encouraged the cast of Buffy and Angel who had felt similar mistreatment to speak up
And
to
I think
keep.
particularly, although he claimed really to be like this feminist like thing, I don't even know how to put it. Uh, it sounds like he was not very nice to women,
Right.
particularly,
And
including Charisma Carpenter.
mhm.
And the story, I'm sure you've heard that there was one day people started showing up at the set, and he was not allowed to be alone with Michelle Trachtenberg anymore.
I've heard that. Yeah,
I, I've avoided reading, trying to see if there's more details about that because I don't want to know.
I know.
Um, because I just don't need that image in my mind. What I have is enough. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, and
Yeah. And it's creepy, and it seems to be like, I don't want to say like it's talent based, but there is some element of like he would be a little more of the complaints are coming from actresses that perhaps weren't as big of names. And so I think he was like afraid to, or not. We can speculate all we want, but there is some reason why Sarah Michelle Gellar and Allison Hannigan have said nothing about it happening to them directly, right? And like, what does that mean about how power dynamics play out in Hollywood, right? Like, you can't, you know, intimidate these women because X, Y, and
yeah.
Z. So then you intimidate these other people. Like that's a whole issue in itself.
Well, and it's my understanding partially like he kept Sarah Michelle Gellar so busy, like she always felt kind of separate from the cast,
Mhm.
the rest of the cast, and they felt kind of separate from her. And in fact, he would do things to upset the cast to like have them not feel good about Sarah.
Right.
It seems crazy. That's not I've never worked on a film set. Um, I
Right.
can't. and that leads to great product. Like I don't understand it. Um, so I have a
Yeah.
lot of opinions on Joss Whedon, which I'm not gonna share.
Right. I
Um,
think, yeah, I mean, it's hard. So I think basically what we wanted to do here is acknowledge that while it was happening, we were very much in the culture. We were very much Whedonites, I believe. Whedonites
yeah,
is the fan term. But then, growing up and learning more is knowing that we have to be critical of these things that we love and that we have to um, give respect to the people who deserve it and give them more time. Charisma Carpenter has a very cool podcast that I can't listen to because it's on, what is it? It's like it's some subscription service that I don't have. But the
yeah.
clips that I've seen and what I've heard is very cool, and I'm glad that she is getting back out there and that people are knowing her name. She was in Veronica Mars after Buffy as well, and I could talk about Veronica Mars. I will do Veronica Mars on another episode maybe. But yeah, it's good. It's good that she's getting back out there and that this situation that she went through didn't.
Like I support the people who don't consume new Harry Potter stuff because that's financially tied to you. If you do that, you're giving money to J.K. Rowling, who is vowed to harm trans people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully supportive of that. But one thing I would point out about like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series is, yes, was it made by someone who's not that great of a person? Um, Maybe even say a bad person. Yes, but he's not the only person involved with it. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making
Mm-hmm.
this series that we love, and I think it's still okay to love it.
Yeah.
So
You you didn't name drop. You said that there were a lot of awesome female writers on the team, so I do want to name drop some of them. Jane Espenson, oh,
yeah,
amazing. Marty Noxon and Rebecca Rand Kirshner have written some of the most important dialogues of my life. So I just want to make sure that they get
and
their name
And
out there.
Jane, I think, was the story editor for season two and three, which
Mhm.
to me is season two and season three is where things start really getting good. Like there's a
Yes.
lot of good stuff there. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
so yeah, let's dive back into it. I mean, what we can say about season 1 is that it was a show that was obviously gaining its feet and trying to figure itself out, and in a mix of being a shorter season and everything else. It All you basically know is that Buffy is new to the school in season 1. She meets Willow and Xander and Cordelia instantly becomes this antagonist character because she's like the cool, beautiful girl. And then she also meets Angel, who is the love interest. And then basically, very like little character development points happen throughout season 1, but the core of that holds true straight through till season 2.
right.
Um, I also forgot Giles. Can't forget Giles.
Yep.
Giles is the school librarian who turns out to also be a member of the Watchers Council, who is assigned to be her particular watcher, which basically means it's a very strange concept. He's just some person who is, knowledgeable in the area of demons and is there to guide her through being the chosen one.
Yeah. I think in the context of the first season, you s- you start to see the gay metaphor. Um, or at least for a lot of people, especially in the first episode, the pilot, where she goes to the library to get something, and Giles recognizes who she is, what she is, and tries to get that, and she's like, "No, no, that's not me. No, no." I
Yeah,
think that's very
the
relatable.
metaphor. So she goes and she's like, "Here, I'm check out," and he's like, "I know exactly what you're looking for," and he pulls out a book that has the word vampire on it and slams it on the desk. So basically, it would be like, you're the gay kid walking into the new school library, and the librarian clocks you right away and brings out like gay history. So yes, that analogy is set up very early, and all of her fears throughout the first season of just wanting to be normal, and even when she talks to her mom Joyce, we see that lots of talk about Joyce maybe not really understanding what happened at the old school, but wanting none of that to be happening again.
It's very much like don't be who you are. Be socially acceptable, which I think is relatable to most teenagers, but is especially relatable to queer teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, and even are self-fighting against that. Like, I was very much in the closet. I had trouble admitting it to myself until I was much, much, much older. But yeah, no, I kind of remember those feelings. Like, I don't want to be seen. The first season does have a journey of kind of accepting it. Um, and I through found family, which I think is a huge queer experience.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So,
and we've talked about that on the pod before. We're going to keep talking about the ways in which 90s TV could talk about queer issues without being direct about it. And I think Buffy and many other supernatural shows, but for me, most importantly, Buffy, give you a blueprint of how to slowly accept who you are and maybe never be public about it if it's not safe, right?
right.
And then also find that found family. In terms of closet talk and life changing events, things get really interesting in season 2 after Buffy dies because she's suddenly not alone. Um, when season 2 starts, I'm starting to watch it a little more regularly, and I am still a baby and don't have a whole lot of concepts of. I mean, I know all about, I've had the birds and bees conversations, and I've watched lots of other movies about romantic entanglements and all of that. Um, but the angel losing his soul during a moment of perfect happiness caused me confusion. um, and not because I didn't understand how sex worked, but because it's actually not, and people get this confused all the time, and I think the show jokes about this a lot. It's not sex, it's not even the act of commencement of sex that causes him to lose his soul. It's actually laying there peacefully with her after the act. And he like wakes up in the middle of the night and has lost his soul. Like it's not like sex, boom, soul gone. That was his moment of perfect happiness. It's like the peaceful content that washes over you after you're in a place where you can actually finally relax. And yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't even happen that fast because
Mm-hmm.
he wakes up and he's mostly naked.
Mm-hmm.
He has enough fortitude to get dressed
Yep.
and go outside, and then he starts calling for Buffy. I
Yeah.
was like, "What?" I that part I don't understand. Like that's really weird to me. Like
I
I
mean,
get as an adult, like the pose thing, I get. I
mm-hmm.
get that. But that he got up, got dressed, and went outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did he know what was happening? Like, to
Yeah.
me, that's never really made sense.
No.
So yeah.
No. I, another sidebar that we could talk about for, I don't know, the entirety of another episode is just how many opportunities they have to have David Boreanaz nearly undressed or partially undressed, and how they like just take advantage of that. Like as often as possible, if he's opening a door, he's putting on a shirt, especially in season 2.
Also, I was very distracted that he looked like he had foundation on his lips. Like his
Oh,
lips
to
were the
like
same color as his skin.
to
And I was
pale
like,
his lips down,
yeah. I was
maybe.
like,
Yeah.
is this because he's a vampire and he just doesn't have any blood in his lips? Is that what you're trying to do? But it's like it's really weird to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
That thread was tied up pretty quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah. So
that element of Buffy where they like each week there's essentially a demon, and it almost directly kind of parallels to something that's going on in somebody's life, all the way up until like the allegory of the werewolf with Oz, and that's another element of supernatural secrets being kept. It's when I think about the werewolf analogy and then the witchcraft analogy and the slayer analogy, it's like they were unsure what specifically they wanted to have as the analogy for queer, but they knew that they needed it. So it just continued to evolve into any kind of otherness that you could find. And that could be me being like, oh, as a gay person, you're reading into it. But there is also something to the element of whether it is a slayer or a werewolf or a witch, whatever these supernatural beings are, it is something that their parents can't relate to or cope to or have ever had to deal with themselves. And that is a theme throughout the entirety. And I think that is another thing where we go back to found family and you see it time and time and again. And it's weird at first because a lot of other TV shows, you see people's parents. And we see Buffy's mom kind of, but like compared to like Seventh Heaven, where parents are like title characters, or even like Dawson's Creek that was happening at the same time, where like the parents had their own drama storyline. And Buffy, that isolating element of what you're going through is so different than what your parents going through that they don't even barely exist because they can't possibly comprehend what's going on.
Yeah. We see Willow's mom once, right? Once or
Once,
twice.
once or twice. I think I just
But
remember the like
we never see her
ginger.
dad.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
never see her dad. We hear
Uh,
Xander's parents yelling at him.
yeah, I don't think we ever see Xander's parents, not even on the
No,
wedding episode, right?
no,
Like it's
yeah.
far in the future. We don't actually ever see them. Like they don't
Mm-mm,
exist in the
mm-mm,
context of the show.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like also I'm sure a lot of queer people can sometimes relate to because this happened for Buffy's 17th birthday, is her and Angel have sex and then he turns evil. Um, I'm sure that's like having a partner who kind of turns on you is not an abnormal experience for teenagers. Um, I think compounded with him being so much older. Like there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's
I
a
think a lot of people who
huge
have that
hype.
experiences.
Yeah, it's a huge hyperbole, right? Like, I mean, nobody actually really turns evil and starts killing your family or trying to kill your family and friends after you have sex with them. But the metaphor there is that you think you know somebody and they get something from you and they change literally. Um, and this in the supernatural world, it's beyond his control. In the real world, it's usually not. That's the difference. And I think that is something that lots of teenage girls go through with their partners. And yeah, I think anybody can relate to that as like you have these expectations of what it's going to be like. And then when it happens, it turns into something else, and you have these memories, and you're haunted by the idea of who that person was, right? That's basically what Buffy deals with the entirety of season two.
Yeah, yes. That's very true. And they don't talk about it in the show very much, but there should be a dynamic, um, a power dynamic, that is uncomfortable in that relationship. Because yes, Buffy can take care of herself because she's a superhero, but Angel's like 250 something years old, and she's 16, 17.
But, I mean, when we're talking about this as a queer metaphor, like how also common is that, right? Like, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, like we didn't have a lot of out gay teens. So there were people who were connecting with people who were,
Much,
not
much older,
200, but,
inappropriately
20,
older.
28 instead of, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
or
and
older.
and I think those age gap. I also think that's a thing that we've changed our mind on as a society. I think for so long we saw mixed aged, inappropriate age gaps between celebrity couples and I don't just mean like adults. I mean like Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan were dating dudes who were like, almost 30 when they were 17. Um, and I think the idea that, women hit puberty and therefore are women, while we don't hold men to that same kind of standard, is hopefully, I see it more and more. And I think the youth, when I talk to the youth, I know that have higher standards about what, protecting young girls, because they're 16-year-old girls, um, as they become women. I think that's changed a whole lot. And no, they don't address it, but I think some of the reason why they don't address it is because like it was just a thing that was happening on other TV shows and in real life. And
Well,
but
and
you're
also
right. Yeah, go ahead.
it was intended to be the central love story. So you can't make too big of a deal about it
Hmm.
and have that be the love story. Um,
I feel like there are
but
a couple jokes. Does Xander joke? I feel like there are in season one there are a couple jokes about how old, but then they just kind of pass it off as because he's a vampire age, not because like his physical body is
yeah,
almost.
like that makes it okay. So if
Yeah.
someone looks younger than they are, like, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't really work. But yeah, like
But
it's kind of
yeah,
upsetting.
it goes back to the queer analogy too, because like while she has this thing about her that makes her unique and special, she doesn't have a whole lot of, she certainly doesn't have the knowledge of the history of things that have gone on related to being a slayer and hunting demons that he has. And so even within the analogy, there's still a power dynamic where like some things will happen and he'll be like, he has almost the same knowledge set about some things as Giles. And like
Right,
Buffy Buffy wasn't there, so she hasn't lived it. She has to learn about it. And
right,
like Spike comes into the scene and there's this whole other backstory of other people that are bad and he knows they're bad, but she doesn't know they're bad. And like, like it, yeah, there just continues to be, you're right. There's a power dynamic where he has all of this information. And not that he should have like sat down and be like, these are all the people that I've ever interacted with, but maybe like a heads up of like, I don't know if these vampires are dead and they might want to come after me at some point in time, you
well,
know?
and he has an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
because she sees him with Drusilla, and then
Mm-hmm.
she asks him what he did that night. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, actually, there was this vampire that I know that came, and I'm a little concerned about my safety and maybe your safety, he just says, I was at home. I was like,
Yeah.
purposefully keeps the information from her.
What a
Like,
jerk. What a
yeah.
jerk.
Um, it's also interesting because we also get Kendra in season two, and she does have more knowledge than Buffy does.
Mm. Yes.
Um, and that's the interesting contrast there is Buffy
It's like,
doesn't have as much knowledge about her who she is, but she has a life. She has
mm-hmm.
friends. Whereas Kendra has more knowledge about who she is, but she does not have a life. She doesn't know how to interact with people. In the lore of the show, Buffy was a surprise. They didn't know she was going to become the Vampire Slayer. They had to find her after
Mm-hmm.
the fact. Whereas Kendra was suspected of being one, so she got turned over as a young child and had been raised to
Yeah.
be the Slayer. Which, I also read novels. I think that happens a fair amount
Mm.
that they found them and raised them to be Slayers, so they were prepared. But
Yeah.
sometimes there are surprises. I think Kendra was a surprise, or not Kendra.
Faith?
Faith was Faith was also a surprise.
She certainly wasn't groomed to be much of anything. um,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
nothing. Yeah,
oh
nothing
God.
you would think of as respectable.
Yes, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a season three.
so yeah, season two, lots of dark things happen, and the tradition of what will be known as kind of Joss Whedon's legacy of you get to love a character only to watch them die horribly, really kick starts with the character of Jenny Calendar, who was Giles's love interest, who is also part of the, I hate saying the word gypsy, but that's the word they use. Craft tribe that gave that curse Angel in the first place, and she's a surviving member of that uh, tribe, and so she's kind of like the last person who has the knowledge of how to cast that curse that gives him his soul back. So she dies for that reason, and it's a plot point the entire season that there's just like this disc that Oh God, what a beautiful relic of the 90s. All of the most important information related to this vampire curse is on a floppy disk that just falls off of a desk and gets stuck. That's beautiful because that's such a relic. I mean, I'm sure that lots of important things are sitting on floppy disks somewhere, hard disks somewhere, and
Yeah.
we'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is unfortunate now looking back. Like gypsy was not thought of, wasn't really thought of
No.
as a slur. It is a slur.
Mm-hmm.
To be clear, they should have been referred to as Romani.
Mm-hmm.
But in the show, they use it. Uh, I was watching a Kathy Griffin uh, YouTube thing, and she pointed out she's been listening to like classic literature, and she's like, I was so upset because I was listening. I think it was by Steinbeck, and she's like, I was listening to this book, this audiobook, and then there is a character that they introduced, and her name is the N word. Like that's her name in the book. Um, so it's not the first time it's happened in art.
No, yeah. I
So
mean, Mark Twain too. I mean, Inward Jim is look.
yeah. So like in the context of the time, I don't think people really thought about it. But in today's context, if I think if they were to talk about Jenny Calendar again in the new series, they'll likely refer to her as Romani and
Yeah.
not what she calls
Mhm.
herself in the show. Um, so
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to unpack that. But so yeah, the first of the tragic deaths of characters you love. The second of tragic deaths of characters that you love also comes in season two when Kendra is fighting Drusilla, and does not make it out of that fight, which is I don't want to spend a whole lot of time unpacking Drusilla's abilities, but there is something beyond just being a vampire going on with this woman.
right.
Um,
So I have always had canoned that she was going to be a Slayer. And that's why she has
oh
predictive dreams.
shit.
Because Buffy doesn't do it a lot, but she does have uh, predictive dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But you can kind of see the future. So to me, Drusilla was gonna be uh, uh,
I love that.
Slayer.
That makes all the sense in the world for sure.
So they always
Oh,
talk about how Angel drove Drusilla insane, but I don't. To me, it doesn't feel like it would have taken much.
no.
So, yeah, that's my headcanon. I don't think that's ever been confirmed as a thing. But to me, that's why. And
And
that's why he's like weirdly strong for a vampire
mhm,
too.
yeah,
Um,
of season two. I know there's a lot that we could talk about that we skipped over in season two, but we need to we need to move through the series.
yeah,
So the two-part finale of Buffy the Vampire Slayer season two is called Becoming Part One, Part Two. Did it
yeah.
air on the same day, or did they air like a week
I
apart? Right?
I think they aired a week apart.
Yeah.
Um,
So the plot, Angel's lost his soul. He is ready to take the world to hell via this ritual involving a demon called Akathla, but Buffy and her friends try to stop it. First, Willow wants to try. She found that disc, and she wants to try resurrecting.
no, she didn't find it.
Oh, Buffy,
Buffy
right?
found it because they're
The
to something.
prophetic,
A
yeah.
pencil rolls off, and she picks it up, and she's like, "Deja vu."
Mm,
Like that her prophetic thing, and then she goes and finds the disc. Oh, what is that? And then they discover it's the translation of the ritual um uh
curse.
to, to curse him with a soul, which also leads to like a payoff joke they made earlier in the season. because they have to have a special orb, and the guy who
It's a
sells the satanic
paperweight.
calendar is like, they sell it as a paperweight, and then Charles like, I have one, I'm using it as a paperweight, which I love that joke so much.
Mhm.
But yeah, sorry.
Yes. No,
Again,
that's a
I
great.
just love talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So
Angel has duped Buffy into meeting him in the cemetery to keep her away from the other, group that is doing the ritual, so that then he can send Drusilla and a bunch of other vampires to um, attack her. And that's when obviously Willow doesn't get the spell off. Willow winds up in the hospital pretty badly injured, but alive. Giles is taken hostage, and then Drusilla Kendra is slain by Drusilla, which all of those things happening, Buffy figures out that Angel is trying to stop her from being there and she runs back into the library and is standing over Kendra's body trying to inspect it, and then the principal comes in with cops, and so then she flees again, with a few other beats in there and storytelling elements, because she doesn't just see the cops and then run, but
yeah,
um
I yeah. So I think that Becoming Part One ends with we don't even see the cops. I think we just see like a gun pointed at Buffy, and they're like freeze.
yes.
And so yeah, and then yes, like the episode starts with Buffy getting away from the cops,
Yeah. So,
which is
and
so fun.
yeah, yeah. The amount of times that Buffy is running from the cops in part two seems ridiculous, but it actually, I think, adds to what happens at the end. It adds this tension as to why the things that happen at the end happen. So we see Buffy is on the lam from the cops. She has visited Willow in incognito and doesn't have the best conversation with Xander, obviously, because Xander's going to have feelings about it and kind of blames her for the thing that happened to Willow. Which Xander's a jerk. And the more I rewatched the show, I don't know, maybe I felt a more kinship to Xander. And the more I know and the more of an adult I am, like, and I fell out of kinship with Xander in fourth season, but like those first few seasons when I was a young kid, maybe it's because Xander is emotionally underdeveloped, and as a 12-year-old girl, I could relate to his reactions to, yeah, it is Buffy's fault that Willow got hurt. How dare
Yeah,
they try to save this guy? They should kill the bad guy.
yeah, I think there's something about being a youth that made Xander relatable. Um, but watching in context of as an adult, I'm like, this bastard.
Watching that
Yeah,
as an adult, I'm like, this guy is a horrible dude.
yeah,
Um,
he's gross. Yeah, like there's so much of his character that is just like gross. And I think why I didn't recognize that it was so gross at the time is I was surrounded by teenage boys at school who were gross.
yeah,
So I
for
just thought that
real.
that's who teenage boys, not really me so much, but that's who teenage boys were.
I think it was. I genuinely think there was a lot of that and a lot of excuse for doing and saying the wrong thing by saying the right thing once in an entire chain of events. And
Yeah.
Xander gets away with that so much. He can say the weirdest, unhinged, rudest shit to his friends, but hey, he's nice that one time, and he's the heart of the group. Like, okay. So becoming part one, we're established Buffy's on the run. She's having conflicts with her friends. Giles is kidnapped by Angel. So she doesn't have Giles. She doesn't have Xander right at this moment. Willow's in a coma. She runs into Spike, who saves her from the cops the second or third time that she runs into the cops, and they go back to her house. And her mom is there, and they are fumbling through excuses about what they're doing. And they say something about a band, which is funny because James, who plays Spike, was in a band. And then the way he says so reluctantly, I sing. and when he does eventually sing on the show is so cute to me. Just that's just a side note. He's like, I sing. Oh, but so then Joyce, Buffy's mom, actually sees Buffy stake a vampire. It turns into dust right in front of her eyes. And
Right.
so then the dialogue changes pretty quickly. Yeah, so a series of lines. One, it starts with have you tried not being a slayer? There's also this is because you didn't have a strong father figure. And you can see Joyce kind of spiraling and losing control, but Buffy is in her own world doing her own thing. She's revealed this thing to her mom, and she knows that she has to go off and save the world because it's what she does. Um, and so while she's kind of like gently alluding to her mom that there's not a whole lot that's going to change, it really comes to a head when her mom suggests that they phone the police. And her
Yeah, she
mom's
wants Buffy to turn herself in because they'll know that she didn't actually do it.
yeah. And
Um,
Buffy's like, no, they have my word. That's not proof.
yeah,
And basically Buffy's like, if you call the police, they're going to get killed. It's not safe for them either. And then Buffy says that she doesn't have time for this conversation, and Joyce says, I'm your mother, we're going to make time for it. Um,
there's also really Buffy has some really good lines
yes, yes,
um,
yes. Um,
about like washing blood out of her clothes, the bruises, whatever.
yes,
Like you
yes.
didn't know this because you didn't want to know it, which
Mm-hmm,
I think is so relatable to queer people.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
like that scene is like that really
yeah.
cements to me that they were using Slayer as context for queerness. Because almost every queer person has
Mm-hmm.
heard those things that Joyce said.
Yeah. Like, do you think this? Yeah, the part of that conversation that breaks
Do
my
you think
heart
I would
every
have
time.
chosen
Do
this?
you think I would have
Yeah,
chose this? Don't you
yeah.
think I would rather be on the phone or gossiping with friends about boys, or God, even studying that line? Oh,
I love that line.
literally, why would I have chosen this? But yeah, no, this is what I have to do. And then but Joyce is like, I can stop, or like basically like, I refuse to let this happen. And Buffy's like, you can't stop me. And Joyce grabs her to physically stop her. And Buffy is stronger, but even like as a 16-year-old, like at that point in time, you're coming into your own. And those moments where your parents still try to physically control you. So Joyce then uses her last straw of what she thinks is parental power over this person, and she says, if you leave this house, don't come back, right? So we see then that Buffy has it's established that Buffy doesn't have her friends, doesn't have the person that who was her lover, doesn't have her mentor, he's tied up, doesn't have her mom, and goes into this final battle pretty much alone. um
And I mean, Xander does show up. And she's like, you go in, you get Giles, and you get him out.
mhm.
And earlier, Willow had told him to give Buffy a message that she was going to try the spell to give uh, Angel back his soul, um, and to let her know that. And when he says that Willow wanted to say something, and he said something like "kick
Kick
his
his
ass," or
ass, which is so Willow, right? Like, it
right,
just
like
I just
um,
imagine Willow laying in the hospital bed. Xander, tell Buffy I said kick his ass. Like, I can't even. It doesn't. But
yeah. Then again, it's like she's been isolated. She thinks Willow wants her to kill Angel. She
mm-hmm,
knows Xander wants to kill Angel. Like she knows she has to, but that doesn't mean that she wants to.
mm-hmm,
Um, so she's literally isolated from everyone, from
mm-hmm.
every support that she's ever had. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
And that's why that line when they're actually battling is so incredibly powerful. They're sword fighting, right, as the portal starting to open to hell, and Angel's holding a sword to her face, and he says, no friends, nobody's coming to help you. what's left. And he jabs the sword forward and she catches it between her two hands and says, me, and shoves it back into his face. And that's like the last, like, that turns the page in terms of the fight between her and
It turns the page on the fight between her and Jealous. And
yes.
it's really the moment like where she really feels like she accepts herself as the Slayer.
Yeah.
Um, like that's kind of been the culmination of the first two seasons. Is
Yeah.
she she accepts the power and she does what she needs to do.
Which,
Um,
yeah, right. That's the
right.
yeah, she's gay. And the metaphor there is that she's ready for it and she can take over the world, take on the world, even if it is just her. Um,
Yeah.
the heartbreak for Buffy really sets in when the spell does go through and Angel does get his soul back, but she has to still send him to hell because the portal had already opened and it will only close with blood, which portals only closing with blood is a
That scene didn't make me cry. Buffy has made me cry. And in fact, in season three, I remember crying a couple times. Um, but that didn't make me cry. But I will say I got very close. And I just want to give a shout out to the music.
mm.
Like the Buffy Angel Love theme. Oh my God, I love that music so much.
Christoph
Um,
Beck, right?
I
Christoph
think
Beck.
so, yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Um,
amazing.
just
Um,
amazing, and it was killer. And that, yeah, that feels like the interesting things about like these season finales is, they could have been series finales. It feels like very written, like we don't know if we're getting another season, so we're gonna write something that's satisfying, but we could move on from.
mhm. I definitely cry, not necessarily right at the moment where she's sending Angelus through to hell, but definitely like when she's first of all, you talk about the score, the score by Christoph Beck is great. The placement of the song Full of Grace by Sarah McLachlan as she is leaving town because she
Yeah,
feels like she can't go back to any of her she can't go back to her friends, she feels like she can't go home and she still feels probably like the police would arrest her.
right. Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of reasons why she leaves. But yeah, like also one thing about Buffy is the music was so good, not just the score, but they wrote this club in where there were bands playing, and the music was so good.
dude,
Like it's
that's
still of the time, but like it's so good. I will listen to those songs today still.
mhm. That the bar that has bands play is a fairly common trope thing in 90s shows. 90210 had the Peach Pit and like yeah, like famous bands would randomly well, they were in Beverly Hills, so that made slightly more sense.
Yeah.
Um
The ending of Becoming Part Two,
mhm,
post Angel going to hell, where she's like, we're finding out that she's leaving.
mhm.
Like, literally, no one knows other than her that she's leaving.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we see a scene of her mom going into her room and discovering that she's broken in, like she's been sneaking in and out of the house for 2 years.
Mhm.
And she's come in and gotten her clothes and left. We see like the Scoobies have like a little conversation about her and like we don't know what happened. Like what did he get his soul and they've run off
Mhm.
to be together for a bit,
Yeah.
but she'll be back. But there feels like there's doubt there in that conversation, and then we find out that she's watching them across the street, and like that's her silent goodbye
Mhm.
to Sunnydale and the Scoobies and her life here, and then she walks off, which is yeah.
Yeah. And then we get one episode, well, once again, kind of like the beginning of the second season. We get one episode of her life in LA where she's coping with not being with them.
One last thing before we move on from season two is we do get an actual gay character. But the only person who knows he's gay is Xander, who is the absolute wrong person. Like
Mm-hmm.
this character I can't even remember his name. He shows up.
Larry.
Yeah, he showed up a lot before he comes out to Xander.
Mm.
But he's always been kind of a
But
but
at least with Larry, it's like he's hiding behind it, right? It's all just a front.
yeah. And then like Xander goes to him because he thinks he's a werewolf, and Xander was a hyena person.
Yes,
So
yes. So that I know what
so
you mean, man. The late night prowls. Yep.
he leads Larry to believe that Xander is gay. So he comes out to Xander.
Mhm.
And then Xander doesn't tell anyone, which is
No,
nice. It doesn't feel like the Scoobies would have cared.
no.
You know what I
Also,
mean?
he's not telling anybody because he also is afraid to explain to Larry that he wasn't trying to say that he was gay. So Larry goes on thinking that Xander is gay until the day
Yeah.
that he dies, which is graduation. Spoiler alert, kill your gays, count number one for the show.
Right. And also, he's not even fridged. It's not that thing of where it gives like a reason for the hero to have a story arc. They just kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, that's kind of lame. You introduce a real, actual gay character and then you just kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is, there's a lot of characters they introduce that continue with the show and with the Angel spinoff. But the one gay one, you just kill.
I want to talk about fandom a little bit more because for me, season three, I was in sixth grade. I was becoming pubescent, and everything in my world shifted. I had posters of Sarah Michelle Gellar that were like the full length, like movie posters. One was from season two, and it was super cleavagey. And I'm not trying to be gross, I'm just trying to be honest. I spent a lot of time looking at that poster, and that's just reality. Um, I couldn't put words to it. I would be several years, and even after meeting Amber Benson, after Tara was out of the closet, I still hadn't come out. And some part of me knew I was at least bisexual in the sixth grade for sure. But yeah, that's when I like started to get into like memorabilia and stuff and just really obsessed with everything related to Buffy. Yeah, it really changed everything. Like that's when it became like ritualistic, and I had to sit down and watch it when it aired. I had to know exactly what was happening. I was on AOL message boards, so I knew a little bit about what was happening in advance, but not enough. That the spoilers kind of element of TV and TV production definitely existed then, but you had to like really sleuth it out and then decide if it was real or not. Did you do any of that kind of stuff? Like, were you,
Yes, I.
you're like, yes.
Um, do you remember GeoSites or GeoCities or whatever? It was
Mm-hmm.
like make your own website thing. I definitely had a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan site.
I love that.
um, and speaking of that, Buffy the Vampire Slayer had an amazing website. It
Mm-hmm.
was incredible. And they kept that while it was with because WB owned it. They kept it up until it left the WB.
Was there
Um,
Flash animation games on that website? Do I remember that correctly?
I think so. It was like
I
it was
remember
real.
like shooting a crossbow at the Gur Arg character, by clicking,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah. I definitely like was like a little nerd on the internet with my fan site and stuff. So um and I would say like this sort of happened later. And I think last time after we recorded the podcast, we talked for a little bit afterwards, and you said something that really amused me, which was you were gay for Sarah Michelle Gellar. I was like, that's a funny thing to say as a queer woman. But I got to thinking of it, and I'm a little bit straight for strong female characters in science fiction. I love Buffy. Like, I don't want to date Sarah Michelle Gellar or whatever, but
I
I
mean,
the character.
really, realistically, same. But no, I regularly credit the show and multiple characters with making me gay. And I know we're not supposed to say that, right? But it definitely opened my awareness, and like it is my root, from But I'm a Cheerleader. If we had to list a root of what it was, it's just really a culmination of that's what I was watching, and I was falling in love with it for two reasons: because it's incredible storytelling, but also because I was having a lot of feelings about the two female characters.
So I also think like there's something to be said about Buffy as a queer icon, outside of the metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a story that I think I told last time we were talking, which I still find really, really funny. If you're old enough, if you're a millennial, you will remember the Got Milk campaign. And Sarah Michelle Gellar did one of those ads. Um, and I cut it out of a magazine and put it in a frame and had it in my room. Um,
So cute.
and uh, so my brother, who is way into like movie production stuff, actually worked on a film set that was shot in Nebraska.
Mm.
And he met a lot of people there, including some queer man, gay man. And one time they came to Lincoln, and I wasn't there. And my brother didn't tell me the story until afterwards. He was showing his friend like the townhouse that my parents owned, and I had a room in. And they went and they looked in, and this gay man picked up this frame picture of the Got Milk ad, and he turned to my brother and he said, "Your brother is gay." And I think Seth was like, I don't know. I was like, he's like, "No, I say this with all like kindness in my heart. No straight man is cutting this out of a magazine and putting it in a frame." And yeah, so yeah, that's my I got Buffy outed me to someone while I wasn't even there. There's a lot of gay icons who aren't gay. Dolly
Mm-hmm.
Parton is a gay icon.
Absolutely.
Cher
Yeah.
is not gay icon. There's a lot of pop girlies are gay icons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of that has to do with like fashion, I think. And I think Buffy has some of that. Um, and at the time, I wouldn't have had a phrase for what particular made that character on the screen, the fashion of it, particularly a queer icon. We do now post the substance, and that's cunty jackets. The teal jacket, the black leather jacket. I think in the musical episode, it's a red leather jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when I think of Buffy, I
Yeah,
think of her.
multicolored leather jackets. Absolutely.
I think of her in
Iconic.
like a mid trench length jacket,
Mm-hmm.
tailored jacket.
Iconic. Absolutely.
Uh,
Um, did fandom of Buffy like open doors to any other vampire stuff for you, or were you just like just Buffy?
um, I don't think so. Like I sought out like science fiction.
Mm.
Like I was again straight for a strong female character in science fiction. Scully is a thing. I have
Mm.
like I love Sliders.
Sliders, yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
show.
Like I sought out science fiction. So I don't think that it in particular brought me to anything else. Vampire Diaries or whatever.
Mm.
I think I think I ended up reading Twilight.
Of
Um,
all the ones, that's
of all the
yeah,
ones, right?
yeah.
But here's the thing, there are actually some interesting things that she does in the writing of the book. So I'd actually say the book, it's not a great book, but it's better than like the movie version.
Yeah.
Like there's things that she does that I find really interesting in her writing. Um,
Um,
but
no, Buffy definitely opened an entire supernatural door that I don't know. It's still kind of it's ajar. Twilight almost completely closed it, but because it takes the strong female element is completely out of Twilight. Like there, she has
Yeah.
she's but um um Laurel K. Hamilton series, Anita Blake Vampire Hunter, love that. Love the Suki Sackhouse Chronicles by Charlene Harris, which it was True Blood. The books are funnier. The the Suki Sackhouse books are comedy books. So the dark tone of True Blood is weird to me. It works as its own thing, but the books are hilarious. Like they're much more tonally similar to Buffy than the TV show. Yeah, so yeah, fandom wise, it was a huge part of my thing, and I was convinced that everybody I know that everybody should watch it, and I still feel that way. Like if you haven't watched it, like what are you doing? Like just watch it. Have you introduced anybody to the show?
Yes, but to like varying results. Like,
Hmm.
I used to watch it when the kids were little. So my Dax, my oldest, he doesn't want to watch it, because as a child, Spike terrified him.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, okay. Recall like sitting down. And I think the reason I've mostly avoided it is because I love it so much. I don't want to like have someone pull out their phone
Mm,
and play. My being protective of myself
I love
more than
that.
anything. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk about
Again,
your experience with. So you were a senior during season three.
yes.
So all of Buffy's big moments kind of coincide with your big moments. How was that?
Some of it felt like relief, like the anxiety of school, what I'm gonna do the next year. Like
Mm,
it's like I've always kind of found as while I was watching it, like I found like comfort in that. Like not knowing if friendships would last past senior year. I think that's something that's a big concern because like I went to UNL, but none of my close friends
mm,
went to UNL. So I didn't know what that was going to look like for me. Like,
for
and
sure.
I didn't really have like close friends until I was in high school. So like losing
Yeah.
them felt like a really big thing. But yeah, so yeah, like those things kind of happened simultaneously. So I kind of alluded that I had a prom story.
Yes. Do share if you feel
So
comfortable.
yeah, so um, this kind of actually happened was more before prom than the actual prom. Um, so I was student council president. And so at at my school, there weren't nominees for prom queen or prom king. Like I think the juniors and seniors just voted,
Mm,
uh, and you could vote for anyone. Um, so what happened was me, my friend Chad, and my friend Corey, we had decided I was going to vote for my Aaron, my friend.
mm,
Um, Chad was going to vote for our friend Melissa, and Corey was going to vote for our friend Mandy. But as student council president, I counted the votes, so it was very close. Um, really close between three people
mm-hmm,
for prom queen. Um, two, like, typical thin blonde popular girls. And
mm-hmm,
then one who everyone loved, but she was like I think the two blondes were tied.
mm,
And the one like kind of everybody loves, but isn't who you expect to be the prom queen. Um,
mm-hmm.
necessarily, was two votes behind them. So I changed my vote. I changed Chad's vote and I changed Corey's vote. So I rigged the prom queen.
That's amazing.
And the only reason that actually happened is because the counselor loved me so much. Like someone is supposed to watch the person,
Mm-hmm.
but she loved me so much. She's like, "I'm gonna go home. I need to go do this." So you just so she left me. So I was free to change them. And then
Mm-hmm.
she did a recount, and her count matched what mine said.
Well,
So
yeah, that makes sense.
when it happened, they were like, "Oh, cool." So yeah, that was my big prom experience. Um,
And it's interesting too, because like for you, you're like, oh, this is like what it should be like right then. And for me, like it was all aspirational watching it. It was like, yeah, like I'm going to be able to find people. I'm going to be able to make community happen. I'm going to be able to make impacts, even though I'm not going to be popular. I'm going to find what it is that I'm going to do, and people are going to recognize me for it or whatever. So,
yeah,
yeah, very cool. Buffy's
uh,
cool.
absolutely. There was one last thing I did want to say, like to anyone who hasn't watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and feel like, oh, I don't need it. It doesn't have any effect on my life. That isn't true. Because Buffy the Vampire Slayer has been credited as popularizing Google as a verb.
Yes. Yep.
So if you ever say, I'm going to Google that, you got that from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Willow.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Like I remember like pausing for a moment and being like, did she just what? Like I remember being confused of how she said she was going to look something up on Google. And then yeah, it took off because why wouldn't it? It's amazing. And maybe people were saying it in California casually when whatever, right? Because we don't know, there's some origin to things. But yes, the reason why I knew of that word, or the first time I heard that phrase that way, it was definitely
yeah,
Buffy
yeah.
text.
Your
Yeah.
grandmother says it now. So yeah, and that may not have happened without Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So it did have an impact on your life, whether you know it or
That's
not.
adorable. But you should watch Buffy because you should just watch Buffy.
Yes.
And not just to get prepared for the requel, although that's fine too. You can watch it for that reason. But no, like it's really well done. I was gonna say about when I introduce people to the show, I either start on season 3 or 5 because I know that's crazy. People are like, how do you not start them at the beginning? And I'm like, well, first of all, season 1 and 2 are just not that pretty to look at. And I think it loses people sometimes in that. And season 3 is just a very complete story within itself. Like, I think you can follow the trajectory of season 3 without knowing anything about 1 or 2. Yeah. You know what? I'll cover that. Season 5 I introduced because of the episode Family, which we'll cover later in this pod, because it's amazing. And I think starting there kind of like can anchor people into
Yeah.
that
That
found family of Buffy.
that makes sense. That actually does. And like I said, I feel like I haven't introduced people to it because I'm so protective of it to myself. But that those make sense because season 3 is amazing. That's like when it hit its stride.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it really was comfortable with it in itself and like very, very strong. It's the strongest high school season for certain.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. What is your favorite season if you have to pick one?
Uh,
What's your least favorite season?
least favorite is first.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's an easy pass. I think we get to just.
um, probably it's season 3 or season 5.
Mm.
Um, which for some people 5 would be hard, like for fans, because it has the introduction of Dawn, which is a very
Mhm.
controversial thing in the fandom. I think that's why people don't like Dawn, is because she's like the perfect little sister.
Yeah,
Like,
she's supposed to be annoying.
yeah,
Absolutely.
like she is what she is. Like, there's no
Mhm.
questioning it. And yeah, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about stuff beyond what we were intending to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I'm just gonna do a little wrap up. When watching the first few seasons of Buffy, you can see that they wanted to talk about queer stuff way before they actually could talk about, before the network allowed them to talk about it. Um, so I do think you should watch it and keep an eye out for those things. Or if you're just bored and just want to see the conversation between Joyce and Buffy, at the end of becoming part two, you can Google Buffy coming out as a Slayer and you will see a coming out scene for sure, 100%. Um, Kai, thank you for hanging out with me and talking Buffy stuff. I know it's something that we could do for the rest of forever. So,
Yeah, like yeah, we could probably do just a podcast talking about Buffy and all the things that we love
mhm,
about it. Because that's a thing about people who love Buffy. They love
mhm.
they love it. Um, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for hanging out today. And listeners, I hope you enjoy, and we will catch you next time on Gay2k. Bye.
I